Good afternoon. Hi, I'm Prakash Shetty from RedHat. I have been with RedHat for over 10 years now, and I have some bit of experience working with the BFSI in India, and I manage a set of BFSI accounts in India. And I thought I'll take this opportunity to talk through as to what RedHat has done and what we have done in India and globally with the BFSI sector. So about 20 years back, my dad used to operate a bank with a small banker, and the nearest branch of that bank was about 20 minutes away from my place. As usual, he would go there, update his passbook, get all the information from the bank. One fine day, he assigned this job to me and said, "Hey, why don't you help me and get this updated, get my passbook updated?" Incidentally, when I went there, that's the period when that branch was getting computerized. It took almost 45 minutes for me to get a statement out from that dot matrix printer. 45 minutes. Today, do I have the patience to wait for such a long time? Does any of your consumer have the time and patience to wait for you to service them after 45 minutes? Today, pretty much everything from the bank is at my doorstep. My handheld does everything that a retail bank would do for me. The bank is in my palms. My 4-year-old daughter uses my smartphone better than me, which means the next generation will be far more demanding than what we are. So that's an ever-increasing pressure on the FSI sector. And imagine in such day and age, we have an issue like this. You literally want to cry if something like this happens. Thankfully, the banking industry probably hasn't been affected to a very large extent, but the regulatory body said, ensure that everything is safe. You patch everything that is vulnerable. You ensure that there are no glitches around. So in such day and age, when you have to focus on the business, ensure that you go faster to the market, you have a problem like this. How do you balance this, where you have the challenge of going faster to the market and ensuring that you are putting your house in order and running the show as usual? So this is probably not a one-off event. Any piece of code which is there in the internet environment is not completely foolproof from any vulnerability. It might happen in future. The second wave is coming. So get ready now. How do you get ready? There are enough number of ways and means in the open source world, where automation can be a great help for FSI, where they can prevent this, where they can check if something is gone bad or something is vulnerable and patch it accordingly. Now, the Business Line article talks volumes of the work that open source world has done. The CEO of GSTN states that we are not affected by WannaCry because we run on Linux. It speaks volumes about the kind of work that the open source world is doing in this area, or the kind of technology solutions and offerings that it has brought to the world. So now, probably innovation. I want to jump from WannaCry to innovation. Probably one of the most abused word, if I may take the liberty of saying so. It is also probably the most defining word in the 21st century for all businesses. It's probably the steroid, the antidote for the businesses in the 21st century. You look at the companies like Google, PayPal, or Facebook, or Paytm. All these companies have huge technology labs and so on and so forth. And all the businesses today want these flashy technology labs, but our constraints on budget, on culture, organization structure probably doesn't allow us to do so. So what's common between all these companies like Facebook, Google, PayPal, Paytm? They started from somewhere, and it's open source where they started it. That's the power of open source, and that's how they build large empires like that. So let me move to another industry, say an automobile industry. An automobile industry where physical assets were the metrics in the past. Today, an average car has about 10 million lines of code, which is at par with any core Linux distribution. So the CEO of Ford Motors says that it is the information that he gets from the car is the value that he gets from them. And that's how he can create more, that's how he can give back to the customer what they want. So that's the power, that's the kind of innovation, kind of information sharing is going on. So let me run you through a CEO survey done by PwC. If you see, 36% of the CEOs are exploring new markets. They're reviewing and exploring new markets apart from their core area of business. On the flip side, 50% of them are waiting for disruption to happen in their core business itself. Let me take an example of a crowd, a company called Harmony in New Zealand, which actually, it gives a platform and places people who want to take loan with people who want to give loan, and at a much simpler risk formulas and a much simpler rate of interest and much faster than the traditional houses would provide, lenders would provide loans. So these are the kind of disruptions we are talking about. Let me take an example of Google. Google Trips, for example, if someone, it's competing with, we probably haven't thought about this. Google Trips competing with the aviation industry or the likes of the airlines. Google Trips, the only thing that it would try and do is for you to reach from destination A to destination B, or to plan a holiday. It will get you the cheapest rates for you to go to that destination or enjoy a holiday. It doesn't see what value that airlines would provide or the kind of services that airline would provide. So that's the kind of competition that we are talking about and kind of disruption that we are talking about. So let me talk about what's happening in the industry, the kind of IT trends that are affecting the businesses of today. And the core of this, if I may take the liberty, the core of this has been open source. You talk about cloud computing. Where did it started? It started with open source. It started with Linux. And talk about big data. What if companies like Yahoo and Facebook hadn't uploaded their codes for, shared their codes for like Hadoop, which is a boon for the big data? Or for that matter, if cloud computing wasn't there, how would they offer cost-effective solutions for the market without breaking their banks? You talk about the mobile apps, Android, great boon to the world, again open source. You talk about cloud apps. Today, you can build, test, deploy at scale, at larger demands using container technology. Talk about Google. Google spins about 2 billion containers in a week. That's the kind of technology innovations that's happening in the open source world. What a company like RedHat has done best is to use the best from the open source world and productize it, make sure that it's enterprise ready and ready to use for companies like the stock exchanges around the world. If I see 20 years back, RedHat was just a Linux organization, just one product that we used to sell. Over a period of time, in the last 20 years, we have acquired a lot of companies which have augmented the Linux kernel. And we have built a portfolio of products which helps our customers, partners, communities, and so on. Right from the operating system to the virtualization layer, to software-defined storage, to cloud management platform, to infrastructure as a service in terms of OpenStack, to platform as a service in terms of OpenShift, or the mobile application. So we are pretty much in everything, every layer of the enterprise game that we are in. And it's well supported by the ecosystem in terms of the certified partners, certified manpower that you want to run this mission critical systems. So here's a glance of CIO alternatives. Pretty much everything that a proprietary vendor would offer you, it's available in the open source world. And not just open source world, and the open source, if there's a community version of a software, you probably would have to depend on the community to offer you the support and it's not SLA based. So what RedHat does is ensures that it does all the hardening, does the bug fixing, does all the right kind of certification with the hardware vendors, certifications with the software vendor, provides an SLA to you, and ensures that you have a right product to use. Otherwise, how would the stock exchanges in the world run on Red Hat software? They cannot run on a community version of the software. So Red Hat or open source is a tried, tested, and trusted by tier 1 companies of the world. You talk about the 100% of the aviation companies in the Fortune 500 list, they are Red Hat customers. You talk about 100% of the telcos in the global Fortune 500 companies, Red Hat is, they are our customers. Healthcare, they are our customers. Commercial banks, I mean, you talk about Life Insurance Corporation in India. You talk about National Stock Exchange in India. You talk about Bombay Stock Exchange in India. You talk about GSTN, which I referred in the earlier slides. These are customers who rely on open source and on Red Hat. So that's the power that we have brought. That's the kind of offering that we have brought to the BFSI segment. I mean, of course, government to a great extent. In India, the UIDI or GST, which I mentioned. So Department of Tax, sales tax, these are commercial tax. These are few of the examples that we have in the government space. So digital transformation in the BFSI segment. I mean, the journey or the kind of pillars that we normally operate on are infrastructure consolidation. That's where we start with. In infrastructure consolidation, it might be from a proprietary vendor to a open source solution, which is Unix to Linux, or cloud shared infrastructure, platform as a service, unified management with the cloud management platform, and so on. Faster time to market. I mean, that's what businesses demand is. There is continuous deployment. There is continuous integration that needs to happen. We will help you with the DevOps model, where we will help you bridge the gap between the developers and the ops. It's a cultural shift. We have discovery workshops around that, which we can help the customer with. And the kind of customers that already has embraced open source and Red Hat are FICO, Bombay Stock Exchange, Barclays, HDFC Life, Deutsche Bank, ING. These are the kind of companies that have already embraced open source, and to a very great extent. Unified developer platform, which is the mobility future now. I mean, RBI is seriously looking at blockchain. Like many years back, RBI thirst on you, the core banking, they might come in future and say blockchain is the way to go for your transactions. There is a lot of research work going on at the back end by RBI, where they're seriously contemplating on blockchain. So future now. So we have solutions around this where OpenShift can be a great help in terms of running your blockchain environment. The journey to digital transformation. So probably so I have 2 slides here. I'll probably skip this and go to the next one and probably explain with some examples that I have here. OS standardization, smart management for auto patching. Bombay Stock Exchange. There, they reduce their TCO by 90% by standardizing on the Linux platform. They were at 10 million transactions per day, and they moved to 400 million transactions per day. They became the fastest stock exchange by moving from 10 milliseconds to 6 microseconds. And that's not what they want to stop with. They want to be as fast as possible. They believe that the leader needs to be more aggressive than the second player, and that's where they're aiming to. And they demand continuously from IT vendors like us. I mean, Macquarie Bank, this bank in Australia, they used our OpenShift platform. They migrated 60 apps and 150 services on OpenShift. You talk about Barclays Bank, they used the Red Hat technology and the DevOps approach to increase innovation speed and productivity to stay competitive. I mean, that's how they've used us. I mean, automation, for that matter, Elets saves about 15 hours every week on day-to-day operations. Here we're talking about an automation piece. The routine mundane, repetitive activities which can be automated by tools which are provided by Red Hat. And it's been a revolution kind of a thing happening since the time we have acquired this company called Ansible. It's been everyone that we talk about, he wants it as of yesterday. That's the kind of fire that we see at the customer end. FICO created its infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and increased its revenue by about 10 million. I think I've spoken enough about my customers, the kind of work that we have done in the digital transformation world. I would like to hear you from one of our customers, Macquarie Bank, as to what and how they are using it.
We're living in a world of constant change. Change is the new normal, and the future will belong to the fast.
Macquarie Bank is a financial institution that is working in the Australian market. Our mission is just to be able to deliver retail, business banking and wealth products to every single customer in Australia.
Our business challenges were really that we're a digital-first organisation. We didn't want to compete just against regular banks. We wanted to compete against the last app that you used, Uber or Amazon or eBay. That meant we had to think differently. We had to use software and technologies and ways of working that weren't part of our regular DNA.
Red Hat OpenShift allows us to go faster to market. We have microservices, we have standard governance and deployment procedures and processes that enables us to reduce the friction in moving our solutions from development, test to production. We are also using Red Hat Cluster Storage Solution, Red Hat Cloud Forms, Red Hat JBoss middleware, and Red Hat Ansible. Today, we have the ability of moving our solutions and microservices on Red Hat OpenShift in a couple of seconds. That's the efficiency gains that we have had with implementing these platforms.
The impact is going to be massive on business banking, wealth management, and the personal banking areas, thanks to Red Hat technologies.
Thank you. Thank you so much.